we were in the boat by ourselves. Nobody was going to save us at that point. Right? We quit our jobs, and that was making it for me. You know. I don't think I thought of myself as an entrepreneur. I was always a self-starter. I was always interested in science and so forth. And while I was at U of L, I was working in the computer lab right after high school. And I had a programming teacher who was working at a small company. And he said, hey, I'm going to hire a student to come be a co-op. And I went right to his office and said, I want to do it. And my job there was to figure out how to set them up on an accounting system. So I was working on that. I ended up going to work there full time. And about a year or two into that, I'm still a kid, and I come up with an idea for a product. So I go to my boss, who's the CFO, and pitch my idea. And he says to me, well, don't spend any company time on it, right? If you want to go play with that, go ahead. So I spend nights and weekends for months writing software to present my idea and show him how it could work. And so I went to my boss and I said, look, all I want you to do is the first time you sell it, give me half your profit. I went on and spent months and we developed the product and we sold it about 9 months later to the Sears Tower, and the first sale was $40,000 for this product. And that year at the Christmas party, they're giving out all their sales awards. They're giving everybody plaques for selling the most and plaques for, the biggest sale. And at the end, they hand out this one special prize. And I'm there watching. And they said, what kind of special prize this year? We got a guy who helped us invent a new product. And I bring him up, and they gave me a plaque. And then attached to the back of the plaque is an envelope. And they said, we just wanted to do something special for you this year. And I sat down, and the envelope had $1,000 in it. And I was blown away. Like I literally walked up in the middle of the meeting and walked up to my boss and said, I quit. It was the moment where I said, I'm working for myself. I'm not doing this anymore. That was the moment for me. I felt as successful when I was super poor and we were barely making it as I feel today. I think when I feel like we made it is the day that we got our first investment and opened the doors to start this company, right? And literally there were two of us. We went to Bellarmine and got some free desks they gave us. We had a little crappy office about this size, but we were finally on the road, right? And I felt like, to me, that was making it. To make a successful business of any type, you got to have people that know how to do the detail work and know how to deliver that vision, right? And so many things. And so in every phase of our business, this business, I've had that person next to me. In the beginning, it was my co-founder, You'll Win, and he was a brilliant engineer. He could build anything I could sell, and it was going to be great. And he was also a guy that when it was tough, and there were lots of tough times where we had no money and we couldn't pay ourselves, and we, weren't sure we were going to be able to pay others. He was a very calm guy, because he walked out of Vietnam through a jungle with people shooting at him, and lived in a concentration camp for 2 years. And so when I'm having moments where it's feeling, unbearable, you just look across the table and you would just look at me and say, this is nothing, right? Doug Cobb is a close friend and a guy that had been with us since the beginning. And Doug comes to work with me, and what I knew how to do was to get out in the market and find new ideas and products and sell them. And what Doug knew how to do is to go scale a business and figure out how to build a management team and start thinking like a company, not a tribe, So there is a thread that runs through everything we do, and that thread is risk or fraud around people, right? But rather than us just go invent a new market, it seems like every step of the way, we've just looked what's right next door to what we're doing. And I think that's always easier than going and diving into a space where you have no special connectivity at all, right? Most businesses fail because they're pioneering and they're starting and they don't have enough capital. There's lots of reasons. It's way easier if you've already got a footprint here to just take a slight sidestep to the right and create your next product. And that's what we've done really well. And we love the mission that flows around all that. And the mission of using data and knowledge for good purposes. And so there's a lot of things we don't do because we say, that's a step away from our mission. Mary Byron is killed on her 21st birthday. That's the genesis of our company. Her parents are on the news 24 hours after her murder, and basically saying all we needed to know was that this guy was out of jail, and we would have had her out of town. She would be alive today. Mary Byron, she would be 46 years old right now. So we spend a year and we launch Vine in Jefferson County. First time in the country that you could call in, sign up, and you would be quickly alerted if somebody's released. About 3 weeks into it, there's a news story on it. We're sitting in the office watching it. And that night on the news is County Judge Executive Dave Armstrong and a young woman who's being interviewed. And this young woman was also in her late 20s. And she was telling her story that she received a call from Vine that day. And she had signed up because her boyfriend that she had been breaking up with had told him he was going to kill her. The story she told that night was that her mother got a phone call saying this guy's being released. And her mother knew she was shopping at the mall. So our mom gets in her car, drives to the mall, and walks until she finds her daughter. Goes in and out of the store she knows she's going to and finds her daughter. She says, this guy's been released. I got a call at the house. What are we going to do? So they decided to call the police, and they got the police to meet them at the mall, drive them to her house so that she could get her stuff and get out, because she knew this guy would be looking for her. When the police went in her house, before she went in, they found him in her closet in her bedroom with a butcher knife waiting for her. Rearrested him in violation of protection order taken out. And she was on the news that night saying, if that call doesn't happen, I come home from the mall and I'm dealing with that. So I believe that thousands and thousands of people a year are learning about what's happening and able to take protection steps. And that what I like to sleep at night thinking about is that there are thousands of Mary Byrons that are alive today, living, growing, raising families because of the start of the company and because of Mary's parents who decided not just to go home and be sad. They decided to go out and make the world a better place. And so to the extent we played that role in that, nothing's ever going to top it. But the darkest hour for me was in 2001. Jung and I were at a point where we were struggling with where we're going to go on this, right? Are we going to keep just with the capital we've got trying to plug along? Or do we want to go tap this great market that's out there to raise money and go try to do a big, bold move? So when we did that, we brought Doug over. And Doug and I go out on the road and we raise money. And I think we raised 10 or 11 million bucks in a matter of a few weeks. It was like nothing. I couldn't believe it. So we do what companies do that get a lot of money. We started doing stupid things. We started just saying, hey, what else could we notify people about? I mean, we went from 90 people to 140 people in 3 months, and everybody's in these rooms and they don't know anything about us and we don't know much about them, and we're just telling them to go find things to notify. So in 2001, Doug and I are sitting there talking, and it becomes evident to us that we're not going to get a lot of these new ideas off the ground quickly enough, and we will eventually run out of cash. And so the choice that was in front of us was, do we go to this board who we just raised all this money a year ago from and say, guys, we were wrong, right? And if we make that decision now, we can upright the company, get back to something that's pretty quickly cash flow positive, and go stay focused on what we know how to do is sell to government, right? And figure that business on out. Or we can keep plugging, but if we do, there's a great chance we're going to run out of capital, and then are you guys going to put more in, or what are we going to do? And so we went to the board and we pitched a plan that said we're going to scale all that new stuff back, and we're going to focus on what we do. And it was the absolutely right call, and the board supported it. And so we had to go tell all those 40, 50 people that we had hired, sorry, we're gonna lay you off. And more or less I committed, like, we're not gonna make that error again, and we didn't. So we put the workforce back to where it needed to be. We focused on what we knew how to do. We grew through that downturn and picked it up from there and took off. So that was our darkest hour. Over the years, what I've really appreciated is what companies do for their employees, right? I really am a big believer that our job as entrepreneurs is to help others fulfill their dreams, right? And everybody who works at a company gets to, raise their family and put their kids through school and do wonderful things like that. And so, whether, if you get the blessing, and it's truly a blessing to have enough success that you can not only help other people get to their dream, but maybe even get to a point in your life where you get to go give back to people, right? Who whether around causes and organizations that can help those who maybe never had that break, that's just a blessing. I mean, I honestly view that. People ask me this all the time. You reach a certain point with money, and I think most entrepreneurs would tell you this. The money isn't ever really what drove them. Focus on what you do best. I think we all have a set of capabilities, right? And nobody does it all. Figure out what your passion is and what you want to do, and it's okay if you're the entrepreneur writing the code. It's okay if you're the entrepreneur that is doing the marketing or whatever, but do what you really do great, and then go look at all the rest and go figure out who your team's going to be, right? It's always been somebody, and it's true still today. You know, I've got a team of people around me that are smarter. They've got disciplines that I don't possess, and you know, it's that's what I think has led to my success. You don't see a lot of founders that stay in businesses for 25 years, right? But believe me, there is plenty of East Coast, West Coast capital that will invest in Kentucky companies if they're good companies, you know. And I have I have total confidence in that. You know, we've had East Coast, West Coast investors in our business since 2007. The opportunity exists. We just got to find who our superstar companies are and plug them in.